Hannah Weisfeld, the executive director of progressive Jewish organization Yachad, which supports the Israeli-Palestinian peace efforts, observed in an interview that the board seems committed to disciplining the 36, which she believes will spark a major backlash from Jews who agree with the letter. Pre-existing tensions are at a breaking point, she said. The Israel that once rallied a unified world Jewry has for some years generated deep divisions in the diaspora. Intensifying rifts versus deeper affinity. How Netanyahu and the Gaza war have convulsed relations between diaspora Jews and Israel. I mean, I think that the diaspora Jews have basically... Dude, Haaretz's paywall is so fucking crazy. Can someone send me an archive link of this? That I hope you hit me at the end was a perfect encapsulation of what is going on with this project. Yeah. I think now would be a good time to mention there's been an average of 4 settler attacks a day since October 2023 to the point where there has been over 1,800 since 2023. Yeah. How do you get people who are checked out but still say batshit reactionary ideals? So what I was gonna say is like there are still a really scary number of diaspora Jews and a much larger number of non-Jews who are totally on board with this project. That's precisely the reason why Ben Gvir and the like get so much play. Like he gets to go to fucking synagogues in America and shit. Like that's crazy. That's unheard of. Like that is the stuff that that's like ultra Zionist stuff. You know what I mean? This is like a normalization of some of the most insane elements becoming infinitely more normalized within Israeli society and a committed part of the Zionist project beyond just being like a plausible deniability factor. Because remember, like settlers play this role where there is it offers the Israeli state some semblance of plausible deniability, and now it's just like it doesn't even matter. There's no need for plausible deniability. A striking number of diaspora Jews fundamentally disagree with Israelis on the Gaza war over the policies of Netanyahu and Trump, but the events of October 7 and since have also heightened many diaspora Jews' connection to Israel. Where is the crucial relationship heading? Trump has called for the removal of all Palestinians from Gaza. Jewish people say no. In mid-February, the New York Times published a full-page advertisement with these words, signed by hundreds of American rabbis and a list of American Jewish luminaries, actors, directors, public intellectuals. The ad was a response to U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement to remove Gazans from Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. The rabbis and certainly the public figures generally represented liberal and progressive voices, but mainstream establishment Jewish organizations voiced their disapproval too. The CEO of the American Jewish Committee found Trump's proposal concerning and confusing. The Anti-Defamation League responded that while Trump's involvement was essential, any plan must take into account Israel's security need and the well-being of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. Boo f***ing who. Then in mid-April, 36 members of the UK Jewish Community's Board of Deputies published a nigh unprecedented public letter in the Financial Times. In pain tones, out of love for Israel and deep concern for its future, they wrote of the heartbreaking war and the partisan populism that is bitterly dividing Israeli society, Israel's souls being ripped out. Of Israel's protesters against the war and the government demanding return of the hostages, the deputies wrote, "We stand with them. We stand against the war. We acknowledge and mourn the loss of Palestinian life." They felt it was our duty as Jews to speak out. Although the American Jews criticized Trump, ultimately both statements represented an unusual public rebuke of Israel's government and policies by the largest and fourth largest diaspora Jewish communities in the world. Jews outside of Israel have long argued over Israeli policy, but rarely in mass audience, non-Jewish platforms, including critical statements from establishment Jewish figures. The letter set off shockwaves within their respective communities. In the U.S., chairman of the Rabbinic Zionist Coalition wrote that the New York Times ad was intended to smear Israel and associated with a crime it hasn't committed. The Association of Reform Zionists of America and a self-defined Zionist left rabbi declined the sign what he thought was not a helpful statement in response to Trump's ridiculous position. The UK Board of Deputies, one of the oldest bodies in British Jewish life, whose members are elected by the roughly 150 constituent organizations, has opened an investigation into the issue and suspended members already. Hannah Weisfeld, the executive director of progressive Jewish organization Yachad, which supports the Israeli-Palestinian peace efforts, observed in an interview that the board seems committed to disciplining the 36, which she believes will spark a major backlash from Jews who agree with the letter. Pre-existing tensions are at a breaking point, she said. The Israel that once rallied a unified world Jewry has for some years generated deep divisions in the diaspora, but October 7 and the war in Gaza have generated a whole new set of pressure points between the diaspora and Israel. On certain aspects of the war in Gaza, which is, by the way, not a war, for the record, liberal-leaning diaspora Jews, the vast majority in the U.S., where 70 to 75% vote Democrat, diverged sharply from the Israeli government's position. Benjamin Netanyahu has embraced Trump's proposal to displace Palestinians from Gaza, and among Israelis, a strong majority of the Jewish public, that is, support it in polls. Arabs in Israel are heavily opposed. Yet among American Jews, 62% majority oppose that plan. The two sides differ fundamentally on attitudes towards Gaza civilians. In February 2024, Pew found that a majority of U.S. Jews support America providing humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza. That same month, a slightly higher portion of Israeli Jews opposed such aid, even if international actors were to send it. Diaspora Jewish compassion for the suffering in Gaza quite clearly reflects the fact that they see far more of it than Israelis, whose mainstream news largely avoided such visuals. In the early months, British Jews were quite outraged about how the war was being fought, and the Israelis just did not understand that, said Weisfield. Diaspora Jews and Israelis theoretically share the urgent desire to retrieve the hostages Hamas is holding in Gaza, but a veteran expert on American Jewish affairs who prefer to remain anonymous noted that American Jews are disturbed by Netanyahu's prioritization of destroying Hamas over hostage return. The issue of a Jew in danger, a Jew that needs to be rescued, is very much ingrained in the American Jewish psyche, he said. The perception that Netanyahu is placing their lives second to destroying Hamas makes the prime minister into a political target. Yeah, this is like, dude. This position is like, I think this position is basically indefensible at this point. To be like, oh, Netanyahu, we have disagreements. Please do not put me in blast in front of chat, but is there a way that I can get in direct contact with you? No, there isn't. Why do you want to get in direct contact with me? What the hell? Anyway, what do I say to Israelis that say no one likes Netanyahu when like he's been voted for over and over again? Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter that no one likes Netanyahu. There's a lot of, Netanyahu's counter. Netanyahu's opposition is also still very much against the ICC considering him to be a war criminal. Netanyahu's opposition is also very much in support of him bombing Lebanon, for example. Like, that's not an opposition at all. That's ridiculous.